he's a Psycho Bandit, and my goal from a design standpoint was to like really put the player in the shoes of those enemies that have been on both of the boxes for the 2 games, and that people have slaughtered by the thousands at this point.
Yeah.
But what's it like to be that guy? And so that was really the goal, is to try to build these skill trees and his abilities so that you can really step into the shoes of those guys and have that like hyper aggressive, high risk, high reward style that the psychos have no regard for their own lives as they're charging into battle.
One of the skill trees you mentioned revolves around him being constantly on fire. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, you'd think that would be a drawback.
Yeah, you'd think so, but you find those burning psychos in the game every now and then that are running at you while they're on fire, and they don't seem to mind. And so I was kind of inspired by that character, and like, okay, how can that become something that players can feel what that's like? And that's our Hellborn tree. And so that tree has a few skills that give you the ability that anytime you light somebody on fire, there's a chance that it will also ignite Krieg. And then the rest of the tree, the skills are supercharged if you're on fire. So you're really encouraged to find gear and find ways that you can be lighting yourself on fire however you can. Shut up! Yeah, so his action skill revolves around the Buzz Axe, which is the weapon that the enemy psychos are always running at you with or throwing at you. Well, you can do both of those things as well with his action skill. He puts his weapons away, pulls out that axe, and just starts hacking away at people. And but you can also throw the axe at enemies who are out of range or that you're charging at. There's a really cool loop where you're charging at a guy, you throw the axe at him, it hits him, and it'll cause him to like stumble. And that gives you enough time to close the rest of the distance and then finish them off with a good chop.
Confusion! One of the things the psychos are known for is their ranting and raving on the battlefield. I mean, when you're playing as Krieg, is there going to be a lot of that going on for the player?
Yeah, it was a really interesting challenge to find the right tone and feel for him vocally. At first we were like, well, we'll just have him sound like all the other ones, and then we realized, well, that's going to be really hard in co-op situations to know, is that another player talking? Is there a real enemy right behind me? So we knew we had to go to a little bit different feel, and so he's got a much richer, tougher, more throaty kind of voice. But the other thing that he does with his voice that's a little different is that's where we're also giving you a sense of why he's a Vault Hunter. And so every now and then when you're playing with him, you'll hear him speaking to himself in a very normal, sane sort of hero voice, and I call that his inner hero.
Right.
And that is the like tiny part of his brain that's still like you and me, that is just trying to steer the runaway bus.
Right.
Just trying to make sure it runs over the villains and the bad guys and not, children and, that sort of thing. So it's just this very small part of him that's still sane that is driving the...
I can't take it! Stop dying at me!
We knew that visually he had to be different. He couldn't just be the guy from the box for the same reasons, because if you're playing co-op, you're going to just be shooting the other players all the time who are playing Krieg. So we wanted him to feel like the amplified, more hero version of the Psycho, but he obviously still needs to be identifiable as a Psycho, and so that came in with the general mask, the white with the orange vault symbol and the bare chest, and those sorts of elements, so that he generally you know right away that he's a bandit and that he's a Psycho, but he definitely looks like a boss version almost of one of those characters.